see if we can make a little bit of noise. Nice, isn't it? Hey guys, Alex Peak Performance here. We're out and about to go out in the BMW M4. What we've got here also is it's the M4, but it's got the competition pack on it as well. So it's a £3,000 upgrade. It takes the horsepower up from 425 horsepower, which is already impressive, up to a 444 horsepower figure. They've also changed a few things with the suspension. So the dampening, I believe, has been changed. They've changed and tightened up the differential settings as well, and changed some things in the diff, which is really, really good. Apparently it's really helped the handling. And also they've changed the anti-roll bar settings as well, or changed the anti-roll bars in completely actually. So yeah, we're out in the automatic, so DSG box car. And yeah, I popped it in comfort to start off with, and yeah, let's go and see what this M4 is all about, and yeah, looking forward to it. Let's go and drive it. Another thing, a bit like the M240i that I've driven before, it's also got a heads-up display, which I really like. You can just see it ahead. You guys won't be able to see it, but I'll try and show you that maybe a little bit later. Yeah, obviously initially, seats are lovely and comfortable. They're a lot more tighter and sportier than the M2, in the sense of tighter and sporty being if you're a bit of a chubber, excuse me, or if you've got a bit of extra weight, guys, then you're probably going to struggle a little bit to get in these seats, because I'm quite a small, tiny little guy. And they're tight for me, to be fair. So I think if you're anything other than fairly athletic, I think these might be a bit too small, a bit too tight. But yeah, I love them. They're keeping me firmly where I want to be, and that's facing this way in the driver's position. So yeah, really nice seats. Drive on comfort mode feels really nice and comfortable. But I will, again, I'm going to try different settings and things like that just to see what it feels like. If we switch it into sports mode, again, it changes the dynamics of the suspension as well as changing things on the ECU in terms of kind of throttle response and engine response in general. So putting it into then the next mode, which is Sports Plus, again, really starts to firm everything up even more. Actually going through the modes, I'll let you know how it kind of feels and what differences it makes to the car. So we're just in a basic kind of sports mode on the box now. So we've got kind of manual control on it. Jesus, that is a quick car. Yeah, so straight away, I mean, on comfort mode, for example, I mean, there's more going on to kind of look after me, and it's a lot more soft. So let's change it onto sports mode, and let's give it a bit of beans again, and see how it does in reining in that power. It's obviously got traction control on. Nice little rev counter. Really takes the bumps really well. There's some undulations and some bumps and some compressions on this kind of little farm circuit, if you will. It's not a circuit, but a farm kind of yard area, and yeah, really takes the bumps really well. Apparently the one before without the competition pack was pretty violent, to say the least. So yeah, it's yeah, very nice to have a car that's got lots of power, but that definitely looks after you. So yeah, it's nice. I'm quite happy and pleased that it's definitely something that is going to look after you. With an auto car, it's a lot harder to have some real fun in, but we're going to take the traction control off. Let's just see if we can have a bit of fun in it or not. Not as much. I'm sure there'll be ways to kind of be able to get the car a little bit off centre, should we say, but I think with an auto car it's a lot harder to know how to do it, and I'd certainly need the car for a lot longer to be able to know how I do that. But yeah, traction is absolutely superb. The diff and everything that the guys at M have done to base competition packed M4, put the power down, is unbelievable. Let me just blip it down, you can hear some sounds, and just, so we've got the traction control off. Plus mode in. And the brake's absolutely superb as well. So if you need to stop, it stops as well. And unfortunately, slow moving vehicle stops play, I'm afraid. Very, very easy to use this auto box. I do like it. Literally just go across to the left and you've got neutral, you go a little bit further across and it goes onto the reverse mode, obviously, so you can just reverse. And you've got like a basic kind of drive setting, which is quite nice, and then you've got like a sports auto, which puts it in like a manual tip mode, and you can use the flappy paddles on the steering wheel, which is really nice as well. So I'm going to put the suspension on Sports Plus now and see what difference it makes. Yeah, let me go through the modes and the suspension. Comfort mode, definitely you can feel that it is a comfortable mode, and it is, you know, very, very or not very, very soft, but definitely softer than the others. Sports mode starts to firm it up a little bit, and for me you can definitely feel it straight away. Sports Plus, again, I will take this car out a bit more in a moment and test and see if we can exploit the handling a little bit more, and at that point we'll probably start to see what kind of input putting it into sports mode, Sports Plus mode, will do to kind of the handling characteristics, so through the steering wheel. Again, we've not pushed on yet, and we haven't kind of tested out what the handling feels like, so we haven't really given it any beans just yet. And basically the mechanics of this car and what's been done to it, thanks to the competition pack, it is absolutely superb. It looks after you, as long as you know how to handle a rear wheel drive car with a bit of power. But even then, it's for me, it's fairly dummy proof, and it really takes well to you know, getting on and cracking on and pushing on. It really handles what you have to throw at it. When it gets going, it feels like it's got more than 444 horsepower. It feels like a car with 500 horsepower, or it certainly feels as quick as something like the Jag F-Type R. It is that quick. I mean, if you saw the review that I done on the F-Type R, you'll see how impressed I was with the all-wheel drive version that we took out. Well, this has, you know, traction in bucket loads, and it looks after you in much the respect of what the F-Type R does. It isn't as refined and luxurious interior-wise, and there is a different feel to it. The F-Type feels more luxurious and calm and sedate when it needs to. This one feels a little bit more like it kind of really needs to be, you know, ragged, and it wants to just get going. But it's a kind of similar car, if I'm honest, and for that I like it. I mean, you're talking about a £60,000 car here. The F-Type we tested was over £100,000, and rightly so. It was worth the money, but for £60,000, this is a gem of a car. I mean, just listen to that engine note as well. Very different note to the M2. The M2 sounds a little bit more raw and raughty and raspy, and this one feels a little bit more. It feels a bit more bassy, a bit gruff bassy notes coming out of the engine of this one, and yeah, it's great. It's a really good car. Obviously, BMW have gone away from the V8 turbocharged, or the V8 NA motors now, and they've gone for these more silky smooth turbocharged motors. Interior and tech in this car, guys, absolutely brilliant. It's got everything it needs to have really in a car of this sort. It's absolutely beautiful. Internally, the interior is absolutely beautiful. Externally, the car's absolutely gorgeous as well. The M4 and the M3 are definitely a little bit more sedate actually in the styling exterior wise than the M2. The M2 is very aggressive, and I have to say I do like the M2 visually a little bit more than I like the M4, and I still love the M4, but I absolutely seriously love the M2 exterior styling. But yeah, this M4 just puts itself just you know, above the M2 in its performance you know, category, and quite rightly so. When you crack on with this vehicle, it definitely is a quicker car than the M2, and you can feel that. It really gets going, and it really is a quicker car than the M2. Handling wise, the M2 feels more fun, and it feels a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more sharp and point and click, you know, and sure-footed than the M4, but it feels similar. It definitely feels like it's big brother, and it definitely has its place. And for me, both cars get huge ticks by them, and I don't think you'll find much of a better car in both of the price ranges for any of those two cars that I'm talking about. It's a really nice little car, and it's yeah, there's loads of different things you can do with the modes, which is great. It kind of changes the steering feel, changes the whole drive dynamics of the suspension, which is also great. That works really well, because again, this is a very raw, raucous, typical car. This is an M4 we're talking about, and it's really nice place to be. It's comfortable enough if you want it to be, and tight enough if you want it to be. Also, if you wanted to go on track, or you wanted to, you know, push it on a little bit more in areas or places you can. Yeah, it's really nice. Lots of nice carbon fibre here. This time it's a wet carbon fibre rather than a dry. The interior is lovely. The seats are really nice. The stitching and the carbon fibre is all, you know, done to a really high quality with nice levers. Beautiful bucket seats with leather. Obviously the iDrive, as we all know and understand now, very easy to use, nice, slick and easy to use. Everything that you want to kind of change, like the traction control settings, the dampener settings, the driver modes, are near enough all at your fingers dispense, which is really good. So it's very easy to change modes, which I like. I don't like or want to go into kind of menus to do, you know, here, there and everything that I want to do on the car. So that for me is really nice, and yeah, really good. Again, talking on performance figures, yeah, the original M4 was 425 brake horsepower, and this one is now 444 horsepower, because it's got the competition pack on that, which you know, has apparently changed it and tamed it into what was a very wild beast into a more manageable car, which is bloody good, because at the end of the day, if you've got 444 horsepower, the last thing you want to do is have something that's going to tear your face off and you know, steer you into a ditch, you know, absolutely every single time. Performance is very impressive. What that 444 brake horsepower equates to, and with the DSG gearbox, or BMW's automatic dual clutch gearbox, it equates to an absolutely phenomenal supercar, like 0 to 60 of 3.7 seconds, guys. So really impressive. I've got a nice little straight, no one's around. It is a very tight road, but I'm going to put it into sports mode, and I'm going to turn the traction control off, and I'm going to turn it into sports plus as well. So we've got it in the crazy, most raucous mode we can think of, and let's try launch. Probably see from facial expressions when this gets up and going, flipping heck, it's a quick car. And to be fair, actually, handling the power wise and traction, yeah, probably again, I haven't driven the original M3 without the competition pack, but whatever the M guys have done is really, really good, because it's the traction comes on, well, basically the traction, the cohesion from them rear tyres is really, really good. I'm going to do it again one more time. So we're in Sports Plus mode. We're in Sports mode with traction control off. So obviously it's quite hard to kind of sidestep it because we are slightly downhill. So I'm just going to. Very nice, very, very nice. So yeah, it's the gearbox on this, obviously the DSG gearbox is very, very nice, very quick changing, and the engine is very, very sweet and very, very responsive. Power is, you know, throughout the rev range and instantaneously, you know, is there instantaneously. And we're getting up to very quick speeds, very, very quick. It's almost, I mean, it is very, very quick, but it's almost deceivingly quick. It does it so well and so quick that you don't kind of realise quite what speed you're doing until you look down, or just, you know, concentrate, I suppose, on looking at the heads-up display, which is easy enough to see, to be fair. So but I mean, I mean, in comparison to the M4, the M2, it's crazy, because it doesn't seem like you know, the difference in power between 365 horsepower and 444 horsepower is much, you know, different. But it's quite apparent that, you know, horsepower, you know, rules even over, you know, power to weight ratios, you know, give or take. When you're moving and when you're rolling, power to weight ratio kind of goes out the window a little bit, and typically speaking, the higher the horsepower of the car, the more you know, the more they start to really, really rock and roll. And this car, it feels quicker than 444 horsepower. It feels more similar to something like the Jaguar F-Type R that I drove you know, only weeks ago. It feels that kind of quick. It is absolutely insane. It literally does feel about that quick, if I'm honest. So you just blip it down. Traction control system doing a great job of getting the power back down, and the speeds you can get up to very, very quickly are unbelievable, and it's very, very effortless. Just blip it down. Grip level is just super, and the brakes are really, really good. The handling, I mean, the front end, the way it just corners so flat, I mean, it's absolutely superb. You can feel the diff working to perfection to keep the rear in check. It is absolutely superb. It looks after you, as long as you know how to handle a rear-wheel drive car with a bit of power. But even then, it's for me, it's fairly dummy-proof, and it really, really takes well to you know, getting on and cracking on and pushing on. It really, really handles you know, what you have to throw at it. When it gets going, it feels like it's got more than 444 horsepower. It feels like a car with 500 horsepower, or it certainly feels as quick as something like the Jag F-Type R. It is that quick. I mean, if you saw the review that I done on the F-Type R, you'll see how impressed I was with the all-wheel drive version that we took out. Well, this has, you know, traction in bucket loads, and it looks after you in much the respect of what the F-Type R does. It isn't as refined and luxurious interior wise, and there is a different feel to it. The F-Type feels more luxurious and calm and sedate when it needs to. This one feels a little bit more like it kind of really needs to be, you know, ragged, and it wants to just get going. But It's a kind of similar car, if I'm honest, and for that I like it. I mean, you're talking about a £60,000 car here. The F-Type we tested was over £100,000, and rightly so. It was worth the money, but for £60,000, this is a gem of a car. I mean, just listen to that engine note as well.